Hello and welcome to the Pleasurepreneur Podcast. This podcast will help you create what you desire in your business with pleasure. Whether that be calling in your ideal clients, making more money, or creating a balanced business life blend. I'm your host, Regan Fig, pleasure and business coach, published author of A Mother's Pleasure, wife and mama to 3 little wildlings. However you're choosing to listen to this podcast, ask yourself, how can I make this more pleasurable? And do just that. I acknowledge the custodians of the land on which this podcast is recorded and produced, the Wadi Wadi people of Dharawal land. Now, let's proceed with pleasure. Hello, and welcome to today's Instagram Live and podcast episode. I'm going to be talking today about whether you are playing business or generating business. Now, if this is immediately having you feel a little bit triggered, I want you to lean in. And if you're a little bit unsure about what I'm talking about, don't stress, sit back, grab a cuppa, and let's talk about it. I got some really great feedback from one of my clients the other day, and I started to share this in my stories just last night. So if you've noticed that I've been sharing this conversation, I wanted to expand on this conversation. Hence why I'm recording the podcast and an Instagram Live, because it is such a valuable conversation to have. It's something that I became aware of myself, and it's something I've noticed a lot of my clients do as well. Now, first, I want to share a funny story because this morning, when the kids are all out of the house, my dad's taken them off for a day to go play at this big skate park. And so, I've got my breakfast, I'm about to make my coffee, and I often like to get guidance from God, universe, angels, whatever, through music. Oftentimes I'll get, lyrics that will pop into my head, or I will hear a song, like a certain song will become really obvious to me. And it's like I get messages. That's how I get my messages, right? So sometimes I like to hit shuffle on my phone and I say, God, universe, angels, give me whatever it is I need to hear. Sometimes it's something mellow. Sometimes it's a nice message in the song. Sometimes it's just something upbeat. And today I was like, give me what I need, God, universe, angels. And I looked down after I'd hit shuffle and I got Eric Clapton, Cocaine. I laughed so hard. I had a really good laugh. And if you know what song I'm talking about, it's kind of like sensual, like, ooh, it feels really good. So I had a good laugh. I had a good dance. And so that's where I'm at this morning. That's the guidance that I needed this morning. I'm passing it on to you. But I was so excited because I'm like, let's have this conversation. Let's make it a podcast. Let's make it an Instagram Live. I feel like there's so much more to say that, I just got bored of putting it on my stories, basically. So one of my clients recently said to me, she was really thankful. And it was I'll paraphrase, but it was some version of like, oh my gosh, Regan, thank you so much. You've saved me so much time and money. I hadn't realized it could be this simple. I didn't realize that I didn't need to do all of this stuff in order to start calling in clients and making money. So just a bit of background, she had done a qualification. She was considering whether or not to go on to do the next kind of more advanced level of this qualification, but it was a big financial investment and she wasn't making any money yet from the first qualification, and she was going to need to be putting in thousands of dollars to set up her website. She was looking at getting a logo and some branding and things like that so that she, had a legit business. And so I'll share with you what I suggested and why. And then I want you to have a think about perhaps maybe where you might be doing this in your business, or maybe you're considering starting a business or you're new in business. And so this is going to save you a lot of money, a lot of time, a lot of energy. Ultimately, I want to ensure that we're not just adding on a whole bunch of stuff to make things more complicated to, satisfy our ego and have us feel like, oh, I'm a legitimate business person because I've got business cards and a website, etc. But we're not actually helping anybody. We're not actually serving anyone. We're not actually working with any clients, etc. So let's start here. First of all, I want you to consider what are some of the things that you think that you need to have before you can start signing clients. Or maybe you're already working with clients, but you've got an idea around I need to have a more professional, videographer or social media manager, or I'm actually not, at whatever level I think I could be or should be because I've got to do all these things. Now, this is where I was getting to with this client. I was like, you know what? You actually don't need a lot of stuff to actually start working with clients. And in fact, when you start calling in clients and start working with them, yes, of course, it's going to bring you cash flow. It's going to bring you experience, but it's also going to bring you momentum and confidence and, clients who want to share about their results and have testimonials to share for you and referrals. So I want you to consider starting with working with people first. Yeah, like calling in clients first. Now, I guarantee that one of the reasons why we want to play business. Now, when I'm talking about playing business, I'm talking about doing like the busy work that's not actually directly creating or generating an income for us. So this is like some of the examples I shared before, like, creating, the perfect website or the logo or the business cards or like the social media calendar, all of those things. I'm not saying like don't do them, like absolutely. But if you are just starting and you want to start earning some income and start working with clients, then you actually don't need a lot of that stuff. And I have found that when I actually put a lot of that stuff on the shelf and I actually started working with clients, then that actually gave me so much more content for my website. It actually helped me to see what kind of a direction I was headed in. Whereas when we're first just starting, we feel as though we need to have, the business model and, all of those kind of things I've spoken about first before we're considered a legit business person. What makes you a legit business person is working with people, is creating an income. That's what professional means, right? You're making an income. So if this is feeling, as I said earlier, if this is feeling a little triggering, like it's fine. Like ask me how I know, and for me, my past experience, I realized it felt so much more comfortable and easier and more gentle on my nervous system to do the productive work, do the playing business stuff, because there's actually not that much pressure to, get those things created. You're not really stepping out of your comfort zone. And so what I've seen with my clients and with my own experience in the past is we can end up going off on a bit of a tangent, using a lot of our time and energy and money, creating a lot of that stuff, but it's not actually creating any direct income. It's not generating any business for us. And the reason often that we want to do that and we choose to do those things first is, yes, the number one thing I would say is because we think that makes us a legitimate business person. But also number two, because it doesn't feel as uncomfortable as doing the actions that create a direct income, that generate business. So things like inviting people to work with you, talking about the work that you do, selling, like all of those kind of things can feel really uncomfortable, especially at the start of your business. And so, of course, it's like, well, why not? Then I'll go do all of these other things so I feel productive, so I feel legitimate, and so that I don't have to feel the discomfort of calling in clients. So now you're going to be thinking, yeah, but Regan, you're all about like doing things with pleasure. Now I'm for the long game, not the short game. I know that often the uncomfortable thing is the thing that creates and the success and helps us achieve what we want in our business. So the trick is to find a way to make the uncomfortable more pleasurable. So as I recommended to my client, and I'm going to share with you as well, why not leverage what you already have? Leverage the knowledge and the skills that you've already acquired. Leverage your contacts and, the people you come into contact with. Leverage any referrals that you can utilize. Leverage what you have now so that you can start generating an income. Yeah. And if you are all for like doing the websites and the logos and the business cards and all the rest of it, and that is exactly what you want to be doing right now, go for it. But what I'm suggesting is if your number one goal right now is cash flow and is working with clients and getting experience and creating momentum and confidence, then you don't need to do a whole bunch of that stuff. Meet the discomfort that you feel now, the discomfort of putting yourself out there, the discomfort of selling, the discomfort of marketing yourself. Meet that now. Don't kick that can down the road. That's not going to feel any more comfortable when you have a website or business cards or logos or content colors, branding colors, that's not going to feel more comfortable. And I think that's a reason why a lot of the times we do those things. Yes, it has us feel like legitimate business people. It has us feel like we're doing something really productive, but it also has us avoid the discomfort of taking those business generating actions like selling, like inviting people to work with you. So as I'm saying, like, take this as a shortcut. Take the shortcut, feel the discomfort, notice what comes up for you. That's going to come up for you, whether it's now or, as I said, like kicking the can down the road after the website. So yeah, like, meet the discomfort. Meet the discomfort, meet the idea that you need to have all this other stuff in order to be a legitimate business person. Meet that or notice that, bring into your awareness the idea that busy does not equal profitable. Being busy, doing stuff, I could spend, like, honestly, and we all know this if we've been in business for a while, there are like a million different things that we can be doing to grow our business, like a million different things. This is why, like, I think it's so funny when we're like, I'm going to be doing business. I'm going to start my own business so I don't have to work 9 to 5. And then it's like the joke of like, yeah, okay, now I can work 24/7 instead. And it's true. Like, we obviously want to have boundaries, but it's true that there are so many things that we can be doing to grow our business. You know, there's so many different things that we could do, but productive doesn't equal profitable. Busy doesn't equal profitable. And if you are focusing on, as I said before, calling clients, cash flow, creating more momentum and confidence in yourself, then I want you to consider popping the website and all those kind of things on the shelf for now and focusing on those direct actions. Yeah, this is how my client was like, oh my God, this is saving me so much time, because we're not kicking the can down the road. We're meeting the discomfort now, but we're also looking at really simple ways where she can start calling in clients. You know, where she doesn't have to invest thousands on websites and this extra qualification. She can actually be calling in clients and making some of that money now and put that towards the website. Have it pay for the qualifications in the website. You know what I'm saying? Interrupting my own episode to let you know that 5 Days of Fire is just around the corner. This is your opportunity to see what it is that you can take off your plate, what it is you can remove and simplify and burn down in order to achieve what it is you really want in your business. I am all for simplifying, refining, deleting anything that we don't need, making things simple, and clearing out what is not actually serving you. It kicks off October 20. We're inside a Telegram group. You'll get daily bite-sized trainings from me, along with 5 days of opportunity to coach with me on anything that comes up for you in those 5 days so that you can create that business that you really want, one that is profitable and sustainable and pleasurable. It is completely free and you'll find the link to that in the show notes, and I cannot wait to see you there. Now let's get back into the episode. So we've talked about how we want to feel legitimate. Nothing builds confidence like actually getting paid and seeing results, like working with clients. We've covered you don't need to look like a business to run one. And in fact, I'll share with you, and probably a lot of other people who are business coaches as well, probably are already aware that there's a lot of people out in the world who look like they've got this incredible, successful business because they've got all these fancy things. I shouldn't say fancy things, but because they've got all of these extra things like the professional looking content, the like amazing website that has like 10 different, a million different functionalities. You can tell I'm not really a tech person, and it looks like they've got this incredible business and they're still working for free. They're still not calling in clients yet. And if that's where you're at, that's okay. But I'm inviting you to consider like, let's meet the stuff that's stopping you from working with clients now, that's stopping you from creating cash now. The discomfort you're avoiding is where your growth is hiding. Okay, so I think I've pretty much covered everything. You don't need to overcomplicate things. And I think this is probably the main thing that my client was like really thankful for, because we made it really simple. Like, there's no complication required. Like, let's just make it really simple. If you're considering like, well, how could I make it simple? Like, send me a message, send me a DM. We can have a consult call about working together. We can look at ways that we can make it really simple so you don't have to do all these complicated things. It's going to take you a lot of time, energy, and money, and create distance between where you're at now and actually working with clients and making money. And also to the kind of pleasure piece I talked about here. As I said, the discomfort is where the growth is, right? And so we want to ensure that we're not so uncomfortable that we procrastinate, that we avoid doing the thing, and hence the pleasure piece. So when we weave pleasure in, it soothes our nervous system. It makes us feel a little bit less uncomfortable. It has us noticing the things that we want to do, those pieces that are like, oh, actually, I could, if I was selling, I could do it this way. It could be fun to do it in this particular way or on this particular platform. So we look at the pieces that are going to be way more pleasurable so that you can do the uncomfortable thing with a little bit more ease. But I think that's ultimately it. Let me know if you have any questions. If you're on the live and you've got any questions, let me know if you're catching the replay and you've got any questions. And if you're catching the podcast episode, send me a DM. I've said this on the podcast before. It's so nice to hear from you if you're listening to the podcast, if you're catching the Instagram live, because I don't get anything else apart from numbers. You know, I don't know who's listening. I don't know what you're getting out of it. So let me know what you're enjoying. And last of all, as I said, perhaps previously, I have nothing against websites. I have my own website. I have nothing against like all of those things that we've talked about. Nothing against those things. I think they're great. However, if your priority is the cash flow and the clients, you don't need to start there. If you're not starting with income in the bank from your business, you might like to generate that first before you're investing in websites and business cards and branding, etc. I love those things and they've got such a great place. So that's it for now. Let me know if you've got any questions. Let me know your thoughts on this conversation. I hope this hasn't felt too triggering. And the reason why I say that is because when I became aware of it, I was like, oh my gosh, you're right. It's so true. This is what I'm doing. And I still notice myself doing this sometimes, you know, when you have perhaps a day to get some work done and it's like, actually, you might notice this. Maybe you're like, oh, actually, I need to clean my desk. I need to set up my office space, make it a lot more, soothing. I need to clear out my inbox. There'll be things that we're doing that feel productive and have us feel like we're in our business doing some work, but we're not actually generating business. Okay, so that's all for today. As I said, if you want to talk about creating income now in terms of generating business and calling in clients now instead of playing business, I want you to send me a DM and I will send you a coaching application form so we can talk about working together. And the other thing is too, I want you to leave me a little fire emoji if you want to come to my next freebie, which is all about burning down the stuff that we don't need, that complicates things, that has us delaying achieving the results we want to achieve in our business, that has us kicking the can down the road to creating that cash flow. And it's going to be taking so much more off your plate. So leave me a fire emoji if you want to know about that freebie that's coming up. It's going to be a really fun group Telegram experience. And I'm going to be sharing some bite-sized trainings. You're going to be getting opportunities to coach with me. So those are those two things I want you to consider. Sending me a DM if you want to talk about coaching together and leaving me a fire emoji if you want to hear about this freebie. And for those of you listening in on the podcast, you will find links both to applying for coaching with me. You'll find a link in the show notes for the coaching application form. And you'll also find the link to that freebie. It's called 5 Days of Fire. Yeah, click the link, fill in a couple of your details, and you'll be added to the experience. I cannot wait to run it. I'm feeling so excited and hope to see you there. Bye for now.